hello again, and welcome back to the Fantasy Darkhorse with me, Mike Molina, and David Barros. And
Hey.
we're finally back to talk about some more surfing. We had a little hiatus. We tried to run a video for last event, but we failed, and we're going into Portugal now, so we missed France. And we're this
Right.
close to getting it together. We just had a little snafu here or there, and just ran out of time. And the contest finished in like a week, so it's really no point in putting one out. So we just waited until this event, and we're obviously back to back on this event. So we're on a short time schedule. It starts in like 6 hours or something like that.
Right.
But anyways, it's good to talk about some more surfing and kind of get people's motivations kind of like wrangled in, see where people are in the race now that the women's is about to finish on their next event, which is in about a month or a good few weeks, and then the men's obviously is coming right up. So let's go ahead and get into the women's, which I want to say the women's, man, have just been impressive this year. Out of all the years I've been watching them, I just really feel like there's so much more flair. All the women are stepping up in a big way. And a lot of girls I get to see all the time out here are in the top 10, strong, in the top 5. So here we go, dude. Dave, what are you thinking so far with the women's race?
Wow, it's pretty impressive. I mean, and for us too, we've been growing up surfing in the 805 in Ventura and Santa Barbara, and so we've grown up kind of watching, Lakey Peterson and Sage Erickson around our point breaks kind of on fire, for this year. And really it was Sage Erickson, coming out of the gate. She really has upped her game and her confidence, I think. Amazing to see her confidence level to where she really thinks that she could be a contender for the world champ. I think she kind of faltered a little bit in the last event, and so it's going to be harder for her to get to that stage. Lakey, on the other hand, has raised three positions to number 6, and also has just tremendous confidence. Her surfing is on fire, and within the next couple of years, if not next year, I think Lakey or Sage could be a contender for the world title. For
right.
Sure.
Yeah. If there are a few more events this year, they would definitely be right up in there. And honestly, with a good showing here, if one of them were to win, they would be right there. I mean, I guess I don't know if they would take it over because Sal would have to completely bottom out, right? I don't even know if it's possible for them to take it, right? I haven't done the math on that. But anyways, I agree with you.
Let's get into that.
Sure. Points.
Okay, so I mean, Sally right now, she's holding 52,900 points, almost 53,000 points, and Tyler, which is second right now, has 51,200 points. So Tyler is really the closest, and Tyler got 13th, not in the last contest, but the contest before, which made it really seem like she was just kind of out of it, but she's still not truly out of it. She's going to be dropping a 13th, and has a 9th, so she could drop that as well. But other than that, her lowest is a 5th place. So if Tyler can overcome the injury she's had in the last couple of events, she's going to have the best chance to overcome Sally, in my opinion. Carissa Moore also moved up 3 places to number 4, and she's dropping a 13th right now. She's also, just like Tyler, going to be dropping a 9th, and her lowest position is a 5th place. But Tyler and Sally have probably better, higher rankings. So it's going to be, Carissa, just to give you an example, Carissa's only got 47,300 points. So
right.
You're talking a big disparity between number 4 and number 1. So
certainly,
to me right now,
that's the line pretty much. Huh?
It's kind of line. We can look at Courtney too. Courtney
Courtney looks
she's going to be
like,
dropped.
dude, she's only 3,000 behind. So
Yeah.
it's totally feasible for her to go in there and take it. And
yeah, but she's holding on to a ninth right now. I mean, she's got 3 ninths. She's got 3 ninths. So
right.
she's dropping 2 ninths, but she's holding on to a ninth where Tyler and Sally aren't holding on to a ninth.
Right.
So
okay.
She would have to hope that Sally and Tyler got lower than a ninth in the next event, and Courtney like wins it, or places really high. I don't know the exact statistics, but it's unlikely.
Right.
Is kind of what I'm saying. Sally's been super consistent. Tyler's been super consistent. I think it's down to 2 girls this year.
Right.
So
right.
let's talk about Portugal, I guess.
Alrighty. So we're also running pretty short on options for the title winner there. Though some articles I've read recently leave the door open for, a 9 or so, 8 or 9 surfers.
Yeah,
we're kind of thinking the same thing as far as the drops and what people are holding in the long run are going to wash out some of the would-be contenders unless there's some sort of catastrophic blowout. Which obviously could happen. There's always a 1% chance of anything happening, really, I guess. But
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
realistically, we're looking at John and Jordy way out in front, and it's same similar thing to the women's. Is the top 3 are right there, and the rest are a long ways away from taking the lead. I mean, Owen's at 39.8. With John at 49.9. So
right, 10,000 points ahead.
I don't think unless John pulls out of this event, that's not fucking happening.
Yeah. I mean, even if Owen were to win the competition, right? Could he actually? He's 10,000 points down.
He would be just short. So I
don't think he could do it, right?
I don't think he could do it. So it's the top 3.
Possible?
And
I guess, I mean, we'll look at the drops, maybe. Oh, because maybe the drops after the affected drops, he could do it. Maybe. Let's look. I mean, since you mentioned Owen, which I think is probably, you know what, you talked about it in our last video, which we didn't get to produce.
Right.
But you mentioned Owen was a good pickup, and he was for the last.
What did he do in this last one?
I mean, he got ninth place. He got ninth place, but it was still,
that's solid result
for me. Yeah, it was a decent result. So, but let's look what he's dropping. He's got a 25th right now, and he's got a 13th, and he has 3 ninths. That's kind of devastating already.
Right.
Like, I mean, I do think he's a good pickup because I think that Portugal is the type of place he's going to get super barreled, and I think Pipeline's a place he can get super barreled, and so I think it's Owen's a good pickup. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Gabriel, he's 9,000 points down from John. Again,
that's a gap.
I mean, and look at it. He's got a 25th and a 13th, and he's holding on to 2 13ths and a 9th.
Well,
there's like no chance. There's no chance.
That hurts. Holding on to 2 13ths and a 9th is really compared to what the opposition is holding, obviously.
Yeah. So that article saying that there's 9 contenders to me is kind of what I'm reinforcing.
Right.
Is a bunch of malarkey.
Right.
It's a bunch of malarkey to me.
I'd rather call it call it what it is. It's a 2-horse race. And
it's a 2-horse race.
It's going to come down to barrel riding and whatever Portugal serves up, usually barrels. And then obviously into John's backyard.
Both John and Jordy have 2 13ths. Both of them do. So those are the scores they're throwing away. But Jordy's also holding on to a 9th. And John doesn't have a 9th right now.
What is his
so look at that. John's lowest is a fifth. He's got two fifths. So John's lowest after the throwaways, after the 213s, of course, are two fifths. You know, they're two quarterfinals. Then he's got four third places and a first place final. I mean, that's super consistent, except for two events. You know, he's kind of. It's so hard to say he's not going to win the world title this year, and both of us called it last time we tried to make a video.
Right, we did. So yeah, we're at this point again, like we stated last show that we didn't get to produce. We're thinking he's the clear favorite, and moving forward, this is still true.
Still true. I'm just checking my video right now. Okay, we're still good. We're still recording. Okay.
Beautiful.
No, absolutely. And I would also, what I kind of want to go to next, and we tried to do it last time. Our next topic is, you know, our holds and our drops. Like who did we hold on to? Who did we drop? And for me, this time I'm actually dropping Felipe Toledo, even though I have him for $500,000 more than he's worth right now. He did have an injury. He didn't look too great, you know, trying to surf on that injury. And there's not too much time for the next contest for him. You know, that type of injury was his ankle. I believe it was his ankle. He's have to be blasting airs with that kind of injury. So he would have to tape it up and really hope that he's just going to get massive barrels.
Right.
So for me, even though I hate to do it because I wouldn't have done it if he wasn't injured, because I would think that he could rely on that air game, especially the forecast for Portugal. It looks like there's going to be waves, but the wind might not necessarily be great the entire time. There might be some variable wind, so it's not always going to be perfect wind, like an offshore type of wind.
Like the last few years, it's been pretty offshore.
But this year they're saying, hey, you know, it's not going to be great winds. It hasn't been all this year at Super Tubos, which is the main break. I know they have a different spot. I can't recall the name, but they have a backup spot that's better on a different wind. But for Super Tubos, it might not be perfect winds. So you kind of got to look for those guys that can do, you know, beach breaky, maybe sometimes onshore or side shore crappy wind, and pulling out airs. And Felipe, with an injury, might not be able to do that.
Yeah, in less than perfect conditions, it's definitely going to be more pressure on any kind of lingering injury. And being that this contest is back-to-back off the last one, we don't really see that much improvement on the recovery time. He just surfed on an entire event, and then he's going right into another one.
Right.
I mean, hopefully for his sake it is.
That's my drop for the
I also followed your advice on that one and went ahead and dropped him. And some of my key ads, I'm kind of going a little bit off my normal path. I added Federico Moraes, which this year I've been on him. I've been stoked on him. I just haven't always had him on my team. But I've noticed his rail work's legit, and I'm sure he's going to get pitted if that's available.
And he's from Portugal, right?
Is he? That's
yes.
I actually didn't look that far into his bio. Sorry, my man. Yeah. And so he's going to be very familiar with these conditions in that regard.
Absolutely.
So I'm even more stoked that I would have lucked into that.
But it's one of the reasons I picked him up. I'm like, you know what? I saw how much in France that Marc Lacomere and Joan Duru, they really knew their conditions. That was apparent, you know.
Right.
And so for me, and Federico has been doing well.
He's been doing well at every single event, pretty much.
So for me, I'm like, for his value, that's the guy I picked up too.
I feel that's a great value at $5,250,000. I was like, yeah, he's definitely worth that. He's been putting those results together all season. I'm surprised he's not worth more at this point, as well as Joan Daru,
Yeah.
also
Yep.
5.25. And
Wow.
so I said, yeah, give me some Johan. And then Mason Ho, because he's a character, and you never know, dude. He loves wacky conditions. He loves just going out there and killing it the best he can in the moment. And I always got to roll with surfers like that because it's just too much fun.
So who was your biggest disappointment in the last event? For you, on your team specifically, who was the biggest? Who disappointed you the most?
I had a batch of people go out in the second round, so I like half my team, which
me too. Yeah, me too. But for out of all those, like the first person that comes to my mind is Julian Wilson. I'm like, really, bro?
Yeah, I was really bummed on that.
You were on your way to becoming a world title contender if you could like pull that event out. You know,
well,
like
I
you
think
win France.
We had touched on that last show we did not produce. Is we were saying like this is Julian's chance to like kind of like he was like on the bubble, it seemed like, before this last event. To where like I don't really remember exactly, but we were talking about that he still hasn't really shown up for that title contention just yet, and he's right there every year. It's just, you know, a couple of snafus every here and there, and like and granted, we've all seen time and time again he gets chinced on some very critical maneuvers.
Yeah, close.
And like he just doesn't get the score, and it's just like, are you kidding me? Like, and you gotta feel for the guy's frustration, and I, you know, many times I've had him on my team, so I'm obviously frustrated right there with him. Like, dude, have you ever even seen those maneuvers put together like that? Like, sooner or later, you just have to come around to progression and be like, dude, okay. No, I haven't.
Did you drop him for Portugal?
I'm rolling with him, dude. Julian.
He's almost won this event. Like, it's so hard.
He's finaled in this event before, so
yeah, so hard.
Him and Owen. I wish I could afford to have Owen also, but I can't. So I'm sticking with Julian because I have him at 8.5. And he's 9 right now, and I got John at 11. So I'm rolling with those guys. I'm rolling with Connor just because he's our boy from the West Coast. From our home break.
You know, he could be good in those conditions. That could be like a, super tubos. That could be like a offshore. I won't mention sandbar around you type of break.
I love you.
Hi, Clayton. Yeah, no doubt. It gets like that at least once a year around here, if we're lucky.
Well, it did a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
If you recall, I got decimated on a wave just like my team did in the last event.
Oh, I know. It was so hard coming into great surf around here after a long time of not having great surf. So all of a sudden it goes from 0 to overhead and offshore pumping. It's like, oh, I'm still, I got some fat to burn off before we can get back to that. Too many beers in between sessions.
I need like 8 ounces of glass on my board instead of 4, you know?
Right.
Something. Yeah.
No doubt.
Something crazy. So, is there anything else you want to talk about? We mentioned our favorite drops. We mentioned that we still think John's going to win the world title.
Right.
You're hoping Courtney Conlon wins, but who do you really think is going to win the women's side?
Courtney. I legitimately feel it, like right here, that she's going to take it down.
I'm claiming. Holy shit! I'm claiming Tyler pulls through and beats Sally at the end.
Right. If I'm not going for my underdog pick, and like I truly do feel that she's going to win this next event, I guess Sally, you know, and I think Sally probably has a really good chance to go far, and that's the only downside to my pick there.
You know what? I have to say this, and you and I talked about this on this last video that I screwed up on. That Sally doesn't have my favorite style, like at all. Like I think she has the most rigid. She's really kind of she bends her legs a lot and kind of sticks her butt out kind of too much for me.
Right.
I know that's her style is not the prettiest to me, but she's also been the most consistent. And so with that said, I have to say that I kind of hope she wins, you know, because she's gotten so close, you know.
She's done a lot of the hard work, you know what I mean? She's done all the hard work.
She deserves a world title.
She deserves
a world title.
And for being the most consistent surfer on the women's tour, like, that's well deserving of the title. If the points come down to it, it's going to show it. Okay. And so far the results do. So, and they're stacking up pretty tall. Although I don't think she has a win this year. She's just been more consistent.
No, I think you're right? I think you're right. I don't think she has a win this year. Hold on.
Right. So she's
I'm looking.
Who's the last men's surfer to do that?
I take that back. Okay.
She had one, right, in Australia?
She has one.
Margie's?
She won the second event.
Margie's. Right?
Yep.
Margie's.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. We were talking about that last time. I thought that's the one she won.
No, I misspoke on that. I thought she didn't win one.
Right. So Sal has one victory. So another check mark to her name, and man, I really think obviously they're going to a right-hand point break, so
only 1,000 points apart, man. Oh man. So yeah, it's gonna be hard. Like she basically, I don't know the exact numbers, but she's gonna have to do better than Tyler. Is what it comes down to.
Right.
Whatever heat it is, whatever round it is, she's gonna have to do better than Tyler to win the world title.
I'm gonna open up the women's draw real quick, just because I want to kind of take a peek at the opposite sides of the draw
bracket
here. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Oh, and that's another thing too. You know what? That we usually mention in our video cast is that we use WSLbracket.com a lot to just look at heat draws, look at where people are going to line up on the other side, on what side of the draw they're going to line up on, and so forth. And I think both of you and I would agree that that's helped us a lot in our fantasy.
It takes a lot of the work out of trying to figure out how to pick your fantasy team. They're always up to date. Man, since they've taken over doing the brackets, they've been up to date, and during events, they're on it.
They're on it.
Heat by heat, just about. They're feeding the information in, so you can look down the road, like after the first round is over, you can open it up and check out like how your guys line up again, and also you could run different scenarios as it goes forward. It's so much fun to kind of like watch your guys kind of ping pong their way through the draw and hopefully get far.
No, you know what? Fantasy Surfer's been actually pretty good about their updates, in the last year or two, how quick they've been updating your team points. But WSL Bracket is freaking on it. Like, you almost think they've got a program that's just, like, feeding the scores into it, because it almost happens. I've literally looked at them within an hour or two of the last, of the round that finishes. Yep. And it's updated. So you almost have to wonder if it's a program that's pulling that in.
Right. Either way, thank you to them for putting that together for everybody that is right now involved. And then, we're hoping everybody freaking that surfs and joins in with us. We've been doing it for years, and it's been a good time. It really makes the events fun to watch, and the telecasts these days or the webcasts are so amazing in the high def. I mean, the early days weren't awesome, and now it's just like, man, you just get such great footage, up close footage of waves that you have no chance of being around if you're not if you're not to these guys' experience level.
The judging actually has gotten better. Like we used to constantly complain about people getting robbed, and like surfers getting robbed of their scores. And it doesn't happen as much now. Like, for the most part,
I want to say it happens a lot less.
It happens a lot less.
A lot less. Yeah, so I mean,
Okay,
for
so
the most part, they're on point, and it's, thank you to them and all WSL and all the surfers for providing such great content to watch and entertainment at home. And sick. Thanks for ripping, and thank you for
yep.
joining us on the Fantasy Darkhorse.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time. Good luck with your
See you
fantasy
next
team.
time. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Peace.